Hey guys, Tomboy601, and today we are taking a look at the Tier 6 Premium Destroyer, the Orkan, the second of the Pan-European destroyers to be added to World of Warships Legends. And let me tell you, she is an interesting one, and you're going to want to stick around for this. We're going to be going over stats, we're going to be going over builds, we have a Kraken game, we have a lot of things. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about our comment of the day. Comment of the day goes out to someone who leaves a comment on one of our previous videos. And today's comment of the day goes out to C. Birdman. He comments on our Albert Gleaves overview. He says, the USN Torps already have some of the lowest detectability. With this captain, you basically won't see them until they hit you. Lol. And let me tell you, yeah, it's true. The detectability, once you fully upgrade Gleaves, gets a little ridiculous. And he's definitely worth picking out just to play with that ability. You can go ahead and pick him up in the Commander store for 900,000 Commander XP. That is an option. If you're like me, who accidentally, well, not really accidentally, I tried to do the little thing where if you do the weeklies really quickly, you get to do the weeklies twice to get double the amount of promotion orders. Yeah, they fixed that. They didn't tell us they were going to fix it, but they fixed it. So I apologize if any of you followed my advice and ground through all of your weeklies this week because you thought you were going to get a bonus commander and bonus promotion orders. That's my bad. I didn't think Wargaming would change something they hadn't changed for all the other updates. Anyways, that's enough about that. Let's go ahead and talk about the Orkan, and let's just first dive on into her stats. Now, the Orkan, very interesting ship because, one, she is just a tier 7 lightning down tiered because she was a lease ship to the Free Polish Navy. But two, she isn't the best in class at anything. She is a very middle of the road ship everywhere, which means her utility isn't too badly effective. Anyways, let's go ahead and start with hit points. 15,700 with an armor thickness between 6 and 16 millimeters. I'll go ahead and put up the armor view right now. As you can see, it's nothing spectacular. It's what you would expect from destroyers. I don't really feel like I need to go into the depth with the armor view on these just because it's a destroyer. You know what it looks like. Main battery, she has 3 two-barreled guns that are 120 millimeters. Firing range, 10.6 kilometers with a reload time of 5 seconds. That gives her a shells per minute of 72 rounds per minute. 180 time on those guns, 9 seconds. And let me tell you, it won't take long because they can traverse in 360 degrees. So you're really never going to need to fully swing them somewhere really quickly. If you kind of keep it up with a turn, you will be fine. You won't have to rotate it to the other side the long way round because they are that full 360 rotating cannon. HE damage, second lowest at the tier at 1750. For HE shells with a 9% chance of fire. AP middle of the road, 2250, giving her a damage per minute of 162,000. Once again, nothing too spectacular. It is on the upper side of damage per minute, but it is by no means the highest damage per minute of any of the ships. One thing I did find interesting is she does actually have secondaries as well. She has one 102 millimeter gun with a firing range of 5.2 kilometers. Reload time on it, 4 seconds, and it has a damage of 1500 with a 6% chance to set fire. I just need you to know how weird it is for a destroyer to have secondaries. The only other one I can find in this tier is the Cossack. So, hey, she has secondaries when most other ships don't really have those, which is one really interesting quirk of her. Moving on to Torpedoes, this is where she does have a slight weakness. She only has 1 torpedo launcher. It has 4 barrels. Now, because she is based off a British ship, she does retain the single fire torps. I love single fire torps, so I was really happy to see that those were there. Reload time of them, fairly quick, 70 seconds, with a kind of small damage of 10,700. Detectability range on those torpedoes, 1.6 kilometers, with a torpedo speed of 65 knots and a range of 9 kilometers. Max speed for the ship herself, 35 knots, which is on the lower side for destroyers. So you may want to go ahead and put one of those very common speed boosters on it just to get a little bit of extra speed out of her. Turning radius 590 meters with a rudder shift time of 3.1 seconds, one of the quicker ones for any of the destroyers. Detectability at sea 6.6 kilometers, by air 3.4, and in smoke 2.4. So overall, kind of an interesting ship, one that you're not really going to see be the best at any category, but it's this mediocrity where I think she really shines. Let's next talk about her commander, and then from there we'll go into consumables and the mods that we have on the ship. Well, you really only have one choice with this, and it is Jerzy Swirsky. You know him, you love him from the Blskaya. And this is one of the problems you may have with the Orkan. She shares the commander with the Blskaya, and they are two very different ships. So the inspirations you would pick and the skills you would pick are probably going to be different. And because of that, you're going to want to change. Inspirations is either going to cost you a couple battles, or it's going to go ahead and cost you 20,000 of your hard-earned commander XP. And is that worth it? I don't know. That's really up to you. I would probably say pick one ship that you're going to main. And if it's the Orkan, set it up for the Orkan. If not, set them up in the Swirsky for the Blskaya. It really is up to you, but it is something you are going to have to keep in mind. Swirsky, I'm going to go ahead and talk inspirations on this. I have Bay to keep even more concealment down. And then I have Violette, just because you don't have smoke on this ship. So being able to stop firing and to have your ship disappear that much quicker is always a nice little like feather in your cap. It's a nice tool to have because you don't have that smoke to rely on to disengage in engagements. And that's why also I like the really high concealment. If you can out conceal yourself from other destroyers, you can kind of attack them, keep them at the edge of your range, and then run away, or kind of maneuver your way out of the way. Base trait for Swirsky, of course, is just that base ship concealment that is very large and very desirable on pretty much any ship because it applies to every single ship. Next, as far as perk 1, you have the choice between contact is imminent and observant range. I went with observant range just because it reduces the main battery reload time of the destroyer and improves the torpedo detection at the cost of a slower rudder shift. Now, we have rudder shift to give away because we have one of the quicker rudder shifts, and also we're going to go ahead and talk about what mods we equip later, but we're going to patch our decrease, our nerf in that from this with the mods later. Next, his second skill set, I went ahead and picked Look at Me Now, just because I like having that high concealment rating. The other option is, of course, Mortar, which does increase your gun damage, but increases your detectability, which is definitely something that's viable on the Orkan, but I kind of like the decrease in sea detectability. Third line, you have back in stock, twist and track, and reaching out. And I'm sorry, but twist and track is where it's at. You're going to want information. You're going to want that extra bit. Just because you don't have the smokes to escape, as much information you can get on enemies is always going to be beneficial to you. So I pretty much am always going to say twist and track for this third tier. Fourth tier, same thing. There's no point in picking smoke on the water because you don't have smoke. So you might as well take the 20% decrease in engine boost reload time from Cloudy Days. And then finally, you have a choice between Unstoppable and Leviathan for the legendary tier skill. And I kind of have been going with Leviathan just to get that extra 2% maximum HP, but also to get that increase in rudder shift when you have an enemy close, because I think that's the skill that you're going to have to look at, whether you want a decrease in damage control party reload times when you're close to enemies, or if you want the reload, or you want the rudder shift. And I've been kind of sticking towards rudder shift, but I can absolutely see anyone who wants to make the argument for Unstoppable. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the consumables with the Orkan. Of course, the first one is going to be that damage control party. Damage control party is going to last 5 seconds and reload in 40 seconds. Then she does have an engine boost, which is going to increase her max speed by 8%. It's going to have a duration of 120 seconds with a reload time of 144 seconds with 2 charges. And then the thing that makes this ship unique, The reason you take her to the dance, she has radar. Yeah, she is a destroyer with radar, and this unlocks a whole new world of fun things that you can do. It's a 9-kilometer radar. Duration is 15 seconds with a reload time of 180 seconds, and you do get 2 full charges of them. So it's decent overall. You can definitely take people by surprise, especially if they don't realize the Orkan has a radar. Because guess what destroyers like to do when they get spotted? They like to smoke up. Guess what you can now do? You can out them. You can go ahead and say, hey, yep, nope, you're not hiding from me. Also, at 9 kilometers, you're going to be able to kind of get in close and spot things you usually wouldn't. So radar is the reason for this ship. It's the reason why I really just like this ship overall. Finally, let's go ahead and talk mod slots on the ship. And first mod slot is going to be the standard aiming system mod. I don't think it needs an increase in main battery traverse speed, so aiming systems mod 1 for the first slot. Second slot is going to be steering gear, just to help with that offset that we did. You could also go propulsion mod. I think that's definitely something you may want, but given that you're not going to be in smoke, propulsion mod doesn't seem like it's going to do you much good. And damage control, when are you going to be flooded? Like, if you hit with a torpedo, you've already taken such a huge hit that the flooding duration decrease not going to help you, and the fire duration, because it only takes percentages off, like damage control, you don't need it. Steering gears is where it's at for mod 2. And finally, in mod slot 3, I went with concealment mod once again to go ahead and boost that concealment, boost the incoming fire dispersion. So that's my build overall. And let's talk about the advantages it gives you, what it really buffs. With this build, HP is now up to 16,010. Reload time on those main guns is down to 4.6 seconds. 180 time is down on those main guns is down to 7.9 seconds. The rudder shift is down to 2.8 seconds. And most importantly, the concealment, the thing we kind of really expect for in that build, sea down to 5.1 kilometers, air 3 kilometers, and smoke is the standard 2 kilometer minimum spot distance. So yeah, overall, that's my build. I really, really like her just because your ability to kind of get in close, surprise people. If they panic, they pop smoke thinking they're going to be safe. You get to pop your radar, kind of spoof them out of their smoke. If you have some good teammates, and usually by tier 6 you do have some better teammates, it's gonna they're gonna support you when you pop the radar and they can see that, hey, this destroyer is coming in. They're supporting you. He just spotted the guy in the smoke. We need to concentrate fire. Like, overall, I found my fun in the Orkan to be pretty immense. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the history of the Orkan. Not much history to be known. The ORP Orkan was formerly known as the HMS Myrmidon. She was an M-class destroyer of the Polish Navy during World War II. The name translates to windstorm. She was built by the Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering Company in Govan, Scotland. She was originally commissioned into the Royal Navy as that HMS Myrmidon, and she was funded by the St. Helens as a result of the Warships Week National Savings Campaign. She was transferred to the Free Polish Navy based in Britain in December of 1942. Orkan then served in the Arctic in early 1943. The destroyer escorted multiple convoys to Russia during this time, and then operated in the North Atlantic as a convoy escort. Then, notably in 1943, she transferred the body of the Polish Supreme Chief General Władysław Sikorski from Gibraltar to England. Then her last notable date is October 8th, 1943. At 7:05, Orkan was hit by a GNAT homing torpedo from U-378 while escorting the convoy SC-143. She sank in a few minutes with only one officer and 43 sailors being rescued by the HMS Musketeer. And that is where she sits now, at the bottom of the ocean. And that is the history of the ship. Nothing too exciting, just an interesting ship. One that was originally built for the British, and then loaned to the Free Polish Navy to help fight the war, and one that ultimately ended up sinking to the bottom of the sea from a U-boat. Now let's get into some gameplay with her. So here we are on Northern Waters at the beginning of the match. We end up spawning on the left-hand side, ships evenly distributed throughout, and this is where we kind of have to make a choice. Now, as a kind of high concealment destroyer, we're going to go ahead and play the right side of A. That way we have more maneuvering room to kind of escape, and if we have any ships coming from their mid, we have a better chance of spotting them and engaging them, and that's just what we want to do. We want to provide that spotting for any ships that are able to take the shots that we don't want to, or we just can't, that risks us too much. Now, while we sail towards A, let me just say, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. These reviews take a little bit of time, and they're kind of hard to rush out, so hitting that subscribe button, hit the like button, always really appreciated from you guys. Anyways, we're going ahead and sailing into A, and we can already see it's being capped by an enemy, most likely a destroyer, just because it hasn't been spotted yet. Bayern also coming into the same side, not going sailing around A, instead coming onto our side. So we need to kind of get prepared. Actually, it turns out to be a Fiji who looks like he's capping it, and we're going to go ahead and fire off our set of torpedoes. Now, just as he's probably going to try to straighten out and hug the coast, even though that aiming marker was moving kind of off, we kind of have an idea of what players usually do. Turns out Fiji not doing it, but he is going to do something else. He's going to be a British light cruiser, and we know that means once things start getting hot for him, he's going to switch over and deploy that smoke, and thankfully he's deploying that smoke right in the line of those torpedoes we previously laid down. Now Le Gaussonier also pops up, and we're going to go ahead and flip over to firing at him. One of those torpedoes hits someone, maybe the Fiji, maybe someone else. Turns out we see a Shiratsuyu who has definitely been hit by a torpedo recently, and we're going to go ahead, concentrate on him. Another torpedo hits the Fiji. We're doing pretty good. We're up to 25,000 damage, and looking at that damage tick down, it looks like we flooded the Fiji as well. Shiratsu, we go ahead, take him out. That's kill one, and we're up to 29,000 damage for the game. Fiji is also eliminated as another teammate takes him out, and La Gaussonier has decided to beach himself into this island. So we're going to take this time and fire away at him and try to start whittling him down. He does only have that one gun on his rear, so he is at a disadvantage. So we don't mind kind of taking these couple of shots from him, because we know his DPM isn't really there right now, because he has only really one gun that he can bring to bear on us right now, and we're definitely contributing to taking down this last chunk of health. We have that fire started. We go ahead, take the kill, and we are now up to 2 kills, 33,000 damage. Mayhan pops up, and now we're kind of having to make a decision. Do we support our 2 ships off to the left, or do we kind of push in to where we're seeing kind of where we're definitely losing the battle? And at this point, even though it's 2 cruisers off to the left-hand side, that Bayern is taking himself out of the game. He is sailing away. There's no reason to chase him. Our job as a destroyer, cap the caps, spot the people, do damage where we can, and chasing the Bayern isn't a good play for us. It just isn't. Our guns aren't going to be too effective against him, and our 1 torpedo launcher, while we have decent torps, we only have 1. We're not going to be able to really provide dev strikes. So we're going to go ahead and leave that battleship to those 2 cruisers. They seem happy chasing the damage, so we will let them. Kind of keeping an eye on the Queen Elizabeth. We can see Twist and Track telling us there is a ship over there. Not knowing if it's the Queen Elizabeth or not, we do have some support from our friendly destroyer, and that's just what we like to see. But we do go ahead, hit that engine boost, because there's no point in us trying to push in to B, right? There's no reason that we're going to be able to get in there. Queen Elizabeth looking away, so we might as well take some pot shots. We're in open water, but Queen is really the only ship that can see us, and if it does decide to turn its guns, we can go ahead and stop firing, kind of drop off the radar. If we can get this fire to stick, we've already gotten her to burn one of the damage cons. If the torpedoes from our friends hit, then they're definitely going to do a lot more damage, because if it floods, we're going to get a flood to stick, and that's just good teamwork. Now we see Mayhan has popped up, and it's time to go to work on the Mayhan. He's going to stay bow into us, and this is a decent tactic from him. He does only have 2 guns, which is going to limit his DPM, but I do believe he's just trying to kind of bounce the shells. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do that a ton if you don't keep a direct on. He goes ahead, turns on out, pops the smoke, planning on sticking in the smoke and trying to gun us down. Fortunately, he's within that 1.8 kilometers, so we don't even need to use our radar to keep him spotted. He goes ahead, fires those torpedoes, and we're going to hit the power, get full past, and try to avoid those torps. We do that successfully, take him out with a fire, take him out, and we're now up to 3 kills. Gneisenau out of our torpedo range, but he's definitely we can smell blood in the water, and our most recent kill has left us a present. He's left us smoke, so we might as well move on in. This is one of the things I really like about the Orkan is if you can get a enemy destroyer to pop smoke, you can clear them out with your radar, or in this case just our guns, and then kind of pull a hermit crab, move on in, and start going to work on people you can see. Gneisenau, so kind enough to be in range, so we're going to go ahead and fire at him. We do get him to pop his damage control. We got that fire off on him, and now we're just going to try to get another fire started as he runs away. We can see that he is using his repair party just because he is at low health, so he's going to try run away, regroup, get some health to try to re-engage later. That's the smart play at this point because looking at the ship side, he's going to need every bit of health he can get. But, you know, our job, take it away, get that fire started, and do the little bits of extra damage that we can. Surrey, not really in range for us now. So Gneisenau has kind of pushed out, or he's at least taking cover behind an island. And if he's going to do that, we might as well try to push in, see if we can do any extra damage, see if we can hit him with the torps. He has recovered a decent chunk of health. We see him, we're spotted now, which is kind of interesting because we can't see the Gneisenau, which means there is another ship abound. Laskaiwa pops up, Swirsky on Swirsky. He is low health, so we're going to take advantage of it. First salvo hits home. We did take out that torpedo launcher, and boom, he's gone. And we are now at 4 kills, 64,000 damage. Gneisenau now coming towards us. We're going to go ahead and fire the torps. Couldn't really decide between wide and narrow, but we don't really have the time to fire one-on-one. So we're going to try to hide, take cover around this island. And here comes one of my favorite things you can do with the Orkan, and that is use the radar to spot people when they're not expecting it. Not even when they're in smoke, because you can see through rock, which I really don't understand, but because you can see through rock and we want to see where these torpedoes are and where this Gneisenau is, we can go ahead, pop our radar and see what he's up to and kind of get an idea of how we should engage. Thankfully, those torpedoes knock him out. We get the Kraken. It's now time for us to capture C. Torpedoes from him. Decent play on his part. Seeing if knowing that we would come around that island and hoping to catch us by surprise. Definitely a good play there by him. Sadly, the timing just didn't work out. And we're now going to take a little pleasure cruise as we go ahead and cap this area. And we're just going to go ahead and set our sights on the Surrey, but primarily cap C because we're a destroyer. Our job in domination, spot and take caps. We've successfully secured C. We took out the 2 enemies that were at C, so it is now our time to go ahead, reap the XP rewards. Because remember, capping gives you XP rewards, and we want the XP. I know it's not like it's going towards the next tech tree ship, but you know, XP rewards are XP rewards. It's how we show off and how good we are. So we're going to take it. Surrey just off at the distance, and we are going to go ahead and start moving towards him and just kind of get ready to engage on him. We're kind of having to play this by ear just because we don't have much health and we don't have really, we're going to be able to pester him, but if he wants to, he will easily be able to kill us. But we kind of have to do our part. We're going to go ahead and pop the engine, try to get closer to him. We're at 70k, and overall, this is kind of where the game ends. Surrey gets taken out from afar, and that is the game for us. Thankfully, we did really well. We got the Kraken. Orkan, definitely a ship I would recommend. I'm having a ton of fun with it. It is definitely one of my favorite premiums that I've been able to play so far. And yeah, guys, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all of the social medias. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's Twitch. Also, we started a merch shop recently. Go ahead and check over there. We still have the Save the Sullivans campaign going on. All proceeds from that do go to help restoring that that currently damaged but on its way to recovery Fletcher class destroyer in Buffalo, New York. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.